Hello, everybody. This is Tajikbay, 2:47 p.m. British time, and I'm recording this podcast, which is dedicated to the post-event breakdown of UFC Vegas 86. I want to talk about the fights, fighters, share my perspectives from what I saw, and a little bit analysis. Maybe we'll talk about the betting. We'll talk about the picks, this, that, everything. Yeah, so we'll cover everything. So buckle up. It shouldn't be a long show. If you're following me on Twitter, thank you for the follow, and on Substack as well. Thank you. I'm available on tajikbay.com, on my website, tajikbay.substack.com, and on Twitter at Tajikbay. So yeah, good stuff. Let's get the show started. Daniel Marcus versus Aori Chilang was the first fight. It was an opener. One thing I learned about Aori is that he's really tough, and I don't even know if it's a good thing. It's never a compliment when the first thing you have to say about the fighter is that he's tough. Because I mean, you do want to hear something like, "Oh, he's so technical, he's this, that, blah blah blah," but that's not something I want to say about Aori, to be honest. I thought that he's just toughness and just him pushing forward, right? Like his pace, his tenacity is gonna be overwhelming Daniel Marcos. But I didn't see it. Daniel was very composed, very technical. He kept it sharp. So yeah, I think what I learned about Aori is that I don't even know that at this point in time he can change. He just believes that he can fight. He just fights certain ways, and I just don't know if you can change him as a fighter. I mean, his identity is pretty clear. Just walk through, try to inflict the damage, your chin versus mine. But I just don't know. Wrestling not that efficient either, so I think his path at a high level to winning fights is pretty limited. But Daniel is actually pretty good, but I think he's going to regret that second groin shot that he inflicted and the damage. I mean, Aori was really hurt, but Daniel should have been really careful. I mean, might have, I wouldn't be surprised if it would have been a DQ. I mean, it's a second groin shot, like, yeah. But I don't think it was intentional, so because it's unintentional, it should have ended in no contest. In the moment, I was reacting on Twitter saying that he should be DQ'd and Aori won, but obviously I was cheering for Aori. I was pretty confident he's going to make it competitive. I don't know if he did it, but I really wanted to see the end of the second round because I felt like Aori was starting to bounce back, like make it a little bit even, but I think he was still losing the second round. So I really wanted to see the end of the second round in the third, and maybe it will have validated that Aori didn't deserve to be a big favorite, a big underdog. But just by the looks of it, I felt like Marcos would have continued to pressure, and I would have continued to counter Aori and would have been effective and probably would have won the fight either by late TKO or just decision, comfortable decision. So Daniel Marcos was good. I think there we should expect some good things. He's in the prime of his career, 30 years of age, still undefeated. So yeah, let's see where it goes. I'm gonna do the separate show, which is matchmaking or not the show, but some tweets. So I need to see who would I match up Daniel Marcos with. Haider Emil versus Fernie Garcia. Fernie took the fight on a short notice, up the weight class, this, that. I think I should have factored that in. I kind of felt like Fernie is going to make it competitive, but Haider, for his debut, stayed composed. He's a little bit surprised me. I just don't know in terms of his cardio how things are going to hold up. Yeah, but he's undefeated, so UFC will probably make up some couple of good matchups for him, and I don't know if I'm crazy excited for him. There's nothing that I saw about his game that's surprised me, but power was good, composure was good. I think for the first fight it was a good test. It's very hard to make a debut in the UFC, so and Fernie is a dog, so probably they're gonna give him another chance probably, but if they cut him, I'm not gonna be surprised. But I think they should give him a chance because he took the fight on a short notice up to weight class again. So it's like the kid is not bad, but yeah, I expected a little bit more out of him. Also, the shots to the back of the head that Haider was landing may have affected Fernie. I don't know to which extent. I felt like Haider was kind of like still dominating the fight, although Fernie had his moments, even in the first round, taking the back and almost submitting Haider. So yeah, I don't know. It's easy to look into it in the at the after the fight has happened, like post factum, and say, oh, like Haider just dominated. But I think Fernie had a slight chance, just a very tiny window, which he could have capitalized on and made it competitive, and won the fight. But I don't think he did a good job of that, and Haider stayed very composed. So is Bogdan Guskov, who also stayed composed because Zach was giving him troubles, and Bogdan found an opening and just put Zach away. I just don't know. I think Zach is like I said, is a very odd fighter, just an odd personality. But my suspicion about Bogdan did not go anywhere, to be honest. He's just he's a one-round fighter. And after that, he's human. I called out Anthony Smith. I think it's a great matchup. I think if you're Anthony Smith, you want to take this fight. Like there's a little bit hype about Bogdan. They both look alike. Should be a good like fight night. Event, like a co-main event or something like that. Both guys look identical, almost identical, like with their haircut and everything. So, but Bogdan, I don't know. He's giving me. Continues to give me this fraud vibes, but yeah, I don't have big expectations for him, to be honest with you. So maybe I don't think I'm gonna change my mind either. So yeah, he's fine, but he speaks English. He trains. He tries to improve. So yeah, I'm like maybe he's got something, but I don't see it yet. So I don't know, in terms of personality and the skill set, but I don't see it. Zach, I don't know Zach, they'll give him another chance, but probably against a really tough opponent. And it's, the chin is not quite there. He got touched and then just got put away. At least Bogdan kind of tried to survive and did, but Zach Paunga, maybe it's time to question if he belongs in the UFC, and maybe he doesn't. If you ask me right now, like fresh off his defeat like this, I'd say probably not, but he may get another chance, so we'll see. Max Griffin versus Jeremiah Wells. I said it in the tweet recently that this Philly boys might be a little bit overrated, but I thought Wells kind of did. I'm not gonna say he did enough, but there were moments that he was. I thought he was more effective, but the optics of when Max was hitting him, they weren't looking good. So it could have gone either way. In the end, I thought Max probably going to win by split decision, and he did. Again, didn't change my mind on either of the fighters. I thought, though, Jeremiah would have a little bit better control and of the fight and the grappling exchanges. But yeah, Max is strong. Yeah, obviously Jeremiah didn't cover, but I think Max covered. So if you bet him, I think you did a good job if you took him at plus money. So yeah, no problem there. Marcin Prachny versus Devin Clark. I warned you guys about Devin Clark, guys. Prachny was probably the bet of the event. He did a good job. And I read some silly comments that Prachny almost got finished this, that, somehow trying to justify the Devin Clark bet. No, plus 200 Prachny was a great bet. He covered and then some, and Devin Clark, I don't think, in hindsight, again, I'm going to say in hindsight, but it was not a good bet. It was a 50-50 fight, probably, and on that night, Marcin was a better man. But just in general, what are you betting with Devin Clark? What I didn't like about Devin Clark is his game plan. I think they made he somehow his corner believed that he's good to be like a striker, and but him not mixing stuff up a little bit surprised me. I think he should have been more. He was just effective, honestly, before, when he would just throw overhand shots and then just go for doubles for the most part, and kind of make it like a dogfight. And but yeah, Prachny was good. Stood on the outside, good kicks. He controlled, I think, very well, and his takedown defense was actually was really good. To give Devin tried. I think he tried to take down, but those attempts were limited, and he did not fully commit. So. Yeah, Devin, I don't know if he's gonna realize his potential because he's very gifted, athletically, but yeah, I don't know what's next for him. We'll see. Like I said, I'll tweet about it and I'll tweet about Marcin. Yeah, we'll see what's next for Prashnev. He's not a terrible fighter, guys. He's not. And with him improving his takedown defense, I think he could be like a good gatekeeper. So we'll see how it goes. Loma versus Bruna. Interesting. I think for Loma, as she continues to climb up the weight class, the issue will be just her size and her being outpowered. She's 115, obviously, because Bruna looked bigger. Bruna pressured. Bruna, I think, did an okay job. I'm really liking what these fight nerds are doing. I think game plan was okay, but Loma knows exactly how to win. Like this takedown at the end of the first round is just like her positioning. Yeah, in the exchanges is really good, and she just like she has a strategy, right? Like I think Bruna has the skill set, but her game plan wasn't as sharp. And Loma she just knows how to win the fights, and that's what I like about it, right? Like I say this a lot because sometimes some fighters don't know how to win. Like Max Griffin doesn't know how to win. That's why it's another split, you know. And yeah, that's that. Balaji Oki and Timothy Kwamba. Kwamba impressed me. I thought he did a good job. He may have won the fight. I scored the fight for him. Balaji, I don't know. He needs to grow as a fighter, and he needs to grow quick. I mean, just going out there trying to like throw like hard shots is not. This is UFC, so I don't know what they're gonna choose for him, but he didn't quite impress me, and I think I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to win the fight, and Dominic Cruz criticized him. And just for the way this fight was going and the Lomas fight was going, fighters not throwing enough and stuff like that. And I had a little exchange with John Anik yesterday, right? Like back when, back when Cruz was fighting, moving around and just bouncing and countering and barely doing anything, it was okay. But these young guys come in and they try to do a good job, fight smart, and suddenly he has problems with that. So but that's Dominic Cruz. They're always trying to stir the pot, or always this unsettled, this very toxic personality, and yeah. I don't know. Like it's so. Let me know in the comments, guys. Do you even like when you listen to Dominic Cruz? Do you gain any insights? Like DC, I know he's super biased, but he creates kind of like some kind of a positive vibes, jokes, this, that. But I think as an analyst, he's terrible. And Dom is like also terrible, but he just brings so much negativity on top of that. So it's just like I don't know. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, Balaji, okay, not really impressed. Timothy Kwamba, we'll see. I think he could do some good things, especially at 145, because this was short notice again, up the weight class. But he did an okay job for a debut, and yeah, got signed by the UFC, so it didn't get much damage, which is good. Yeah. Carlos Prates versus Trevin Giles. I had Trevin Giles because I thought he's going to do well, and I think he did do well. He got caught, but he was winning the fight. If this fight was lasted second round, like we're going into the third round, like with Trevin Giles winning both rounds. So I know people are kind of like, I think the issue that people have with my picks and just in general is they do not say anything before the fight, and they do not say anything about how the fight went, but they say a lot about how the fight ended. And I think that's kind of like a mistake because, well, it's an opinion of people, mostly people who do not have like a valid profile. They create some kind of fictitious profiles and send some kind of funny messages like you were wrong and there's that. Like it's interesting, good. I mean, thank you. You give me a good engagements, but I think you make mistake also by looking at the end of the fight, because I think process-wise Giles was a good bet, and then the way the fight ended, if you take that as a measurement of whether the bet was good or bad, then I think there's, from my side of things, there's entirely something profoundly wrong about your process. Giles was winning this fight. He got caught. This is MMA. But in hindsight, looking into the fight, I think I would give the same level of confidence, and I thought Giles was doing pretty well. Now, the issue is that obviously that Pratis caught him, and Pratis is good, but he needs to push a little bit more if he's trying to win the fights. That's those tactical fights, bouncing on the front leg, and I don't know if that's going to do him a good things. But it's a tough test in Trevin Giles. Just to go past Trevin Giles, I think is good. Trevin has some really good wins. And let's see who they match him up with, because he's 30 years of age. They can push him you can push him. He's a very serviceable fighter. I mean, his skill set is pretty good. Yeah. But there needs to be some kind of sense of urgency, and takedown defense was actually good too. So he's a complete package, but he needs to change his style a little bit, Rodolfo Vieira versus Armen Petrosian. Looks like Armen was upset that he tapped, or he is saying that he didn't tap, or was upset with the stoppage. Yeah, don't put yourself in this position. Like Rodolfo did everything that he was supposed to do. Looks like Armen tapped. I couldn't care less if he thinks he didn't. I thought he would be able to withhold. Defend the takedowns. He didn't, and Rodolfo took care of him. So congratulations to everybody who picked Rodolfo. Great job, great finish. So that's all I can say. Michael Johnson versus Darius Flowers. I was pretty confident in Michael Johnson. Maybe not like super confident, but I thought he's either going to win by decision, and I have a prop suggestion for him by submission, which I thought was really good, because they were like plus 5,000. Odds, some crazy odds like submission. I thought Johnson's gonna find the finish in a second, and he almost did, but didn't manage to finish Darius Flowers. But he won by decision, so I thought process-wise, Johnson was just the right side, just overall but in this case, in general, it's very tough to bet Michael Johnson. He's just always he's really good at finding ways to lose the fight. Yeah, but Darius, I don't think he belongs to the UFC, to be honest. Yeah, but whatever. I don't have much to say about him. Greg Rodriguez versus Brett Tavares. I think Greg Rodriguez Robocop is ready for top 15, and Brett Tavares is just kind of like, I don't have much to say about him. Like, to be honest, like, he strikes, but that's about it. And you pressure him, and I think he folds. And how old is he now? 36. Yeah, I don't have much to say about him, to be honest. But Robocop, I want to see him. Fighting top 15. I don't know who at top 15, but I'm probably gonna tweet about it. But maybe let me give you guys something who I think he could be fighting potentially. I mean, I keep like talking about matchups that I'm gonna match up, but so let's see, if we were to do Robocop, and he is on a 2-fight winning streak, who would we match him up with? Everybody's busy. I mean, I'm not gonna hate. I am not gonna hate if Robocop fights. Chris Curtis, to be honest. Yeah, it should be a good fight. Yeah, why not? I think Chris Curtis is a decent fight, so in my opinion. Ihor Potera versus Bridgesik. I said about this before, I'm not the best opinion of Ihor Potera, but I think he did all right. He dealt with the power of Bridgesik and won a decision. He showed the power of his own. So yeah, I mean, I take my words back. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think I just don't know how well can he do at the competitive, like at the upper echelon, like top 50 even. But yeah, and for Robert, obviously a debut. I don't know what's the upside for him, but debuts are always hard to win. So Poteria, I don't know. I just don't have the same like Guskov, Poteria. These fighters are just like, I don't know, guys. I'm just not a fan. Not a fan. Maybe it's that. Ige versus Philly. I thought Philly is gonna make it more competitive, but we didn't see much. Didn't get to see much because Ige he hits hard. Ige hits hard, and yeah, just Philly I think lost yet another chance to break into top 15. Ooh, that's kind of sad. That's gotta hurt. But it is what it is. And yeah, and my new motto, I said this before. Every time you get my podcast these days, it says "Listen to my podcast," and then I add, "Don't be Joe Pyfer." I'm going to explain this, but let me check before if we're good on time. I just don't want to take a lot of your time. Yeah, 23 minutes. We're fine. We're fine. I'm gonna explain something to you guys, right? Like, Joe Pyfer to me is like in the same is in the same category of fighters as Themba Gorimba, right? It's this PR project that Dana or The Rock undertakes in order to self-promote, right? Like in order to humanize themselves. Oh, I was homeless, I was not supposed to be there, and this, that, and Dana did this, Dana did that. People don't know him, people don't know Rock. Themba would say he would take care of me. But there are hundreds of people on the roster who are, severely underpaid, unable to pay bills, also coming from the tough backgrounds and stuff like that. So instead of like worrying about those guys, the narrative switches for us caring or being just happy to hear the story of Themba Gorimba, or Pyfer being homeless and then now getting the home and Dana taking care of him and this and that. It's just I understand it's like make you feel good type stories, but just understand that in this day and age, these fighters are not in a position to. This is 0.01% of fighters that were just chosen tactically or strategically from the PR perspective to push this narrative that that you have a chance, you can succeed and this and that. But how many times we heard this story, right? Like, here's the thing. How many fighters, mind you, like, that doesn't matter from where, from Africa, from America, it's just tried to make it like and made it in the UFC and this and that. Like, I bring the example. What was this guy's name? Oh man, please forgive me. Please forgive me, but Alexandre Pantoja, guys, up until becoming UFC champion, Alexandre Pantoja, right, was doing Uber Eats, right? He couldn't pay his bill, he couldn't train, this, that. Like, imagine how many fights Alexandre Pantoja had. Let's look. Let's look at Alexandre Pantoja into. I don't mean it to drive into the agenda, but like when you go into this Pyfer area, right? Like, and you try to like say, oh, like good fighter, this, that, Dana, like yada yada yada. Like, okay, yeah, let's do Pantoja, right? Pantoja, UFC, he fought on the Ultimate Fighter, then started Alex Shelton 2017. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 fights, boys. 14 fights. The guy was broke in the UFC. Right? But we celebrate Joe Pyfers and Themba Gorimbas of the world. All I'm saying is just like have your own head and understand that these type of feel-good stories, of success stories, they're just like a build-up, manufactured stories to make one feel that there's some kind of an opportunity and this and that. Pantoja worked just as hard, I'm sure, if not harder, than Themba Gorimba and Joe Pyfer and this and that. Like 14 fights was broke, guys, delivering food, right? And this is not new. Not all the fighters become champion. But a lot of the fighters go and fighting for the UFC dozens of times, trying to make a living. It's just not that. That's why when you subscribe to this like Joe Pyfer, this that, I tell you guys, don't be Joe Pyfer. Don't be Joe Pyfer. It's just like, yeah, stories. But we like stories. We like stories. Stories excite us. They motivate us. So I I get it. I get it. Just have your own mind and decide for yourself. And don't don't be a part of this kind of like a, don't lean into heavily into this PR machine and embrace it, the propaganda and stuff like that that you're hearing on either side. I also don't understand the side when people say, oh, like UFC should pay fighters more and this and that. It depends which perspectives you take, guys. From the company's perspective, from the business perspective, Endeavor doing what it's supposed to do. UFC is doing what it's supposed to do. Is protecting the interest of the company and growing its revenues, right? So, but if you're on the fighter side, then you should back the fighters, right? You should say, hey, fighters should get paid more, and and this and that, right? Like if you're backing the fighters, it's just there's always going to be this disparity. Are you backing fighters? Or are you backing the organization? Or making you maybe you are, if your focus is a little bit misaligned, you're going to say, oh, like I'm backing, like I like Dana White because he's just this great promoter. But then you're probably a little bit less on the side of the fighters and more on the side of the organization, and just gonna your loyalties are gonna be a little bit misaligned, because I don't think it helps to the sport subscribing to a personality such as promoters and stuff like that. I think the sport is about fighters. It's not about promoters. And I said this before, UFC and MMA is one of the only UFC especially is one of the very few sports where main personalities are not the fighters. Joe Rogan, Ariel Helwani, and Dana White. That's it. That's the mainstream UFC, MMA. That's the people we talk about and say that for the most part. That's it, right? So all in all, I went a little bit longer, not a rant, but spiel that I did not want to go, but all this to say is I'm going to wrap up the show. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, like I said before, don't be Joe Pyfer, guys. Have your own mind. Take care.